Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and I got two guests joining me today, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones, and our director of football recruiting, Miss Deana King. And guys, we're here to discuss the news that broke earlier on Monday morning that Carolina was picked to finish atop the Coastal Division in the 2021 ACC Preseason Media Poll. I'll just go ahead and say it. We voted on this poll last week as well. The ACC sends it out kind of right around the time of the ACC kickoff, which obviously took place in Charlotte last week. AJ was in attendance. But, yeah, let's dive into it as we always do. I'm going to run through the Coastal standings, and then I'll kick it to you guys. The preseason Coastal standings, I should say. Carolina picked to finish first with 109 first-place votes. Miami in second. Virginia Tech in third, followed up by Pitt, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Duke sitting at number 7 in the Coastal. AJ, I'm going to start with you. You were in Charlotte last week, like I mentioned. We talked about kind of the buzz and hype surrounding North Carolina while you were there. Any surprises from you that Carolina's picked atop the Coastal Division in the preseason media poll?
No, I talked to 25 members of the media, maybe 22, 25. I didn't talk to anybody that said they had Miami. And I know that some of the TV talking heads are picking Miami, and there's some of the national people are picking Miami. I think part of that, the people that are a little bit more distant from the conference, a little bit more distant from North Carolina, I think it's easier to say, yeah, Deana King in Miami. Mm-hmm. Because Carolina is still, as much as the Miami game helped and as much as they made progress last year, people have to see more to believe on the national scene. And I totally get that. I'm a little bit like that as well when it comes to them puncturing that ceiling. Mm-hmm. But as far as winning the Coastal, I had them winning the Coastal. I had Miami second, Pitt third, UVA fourth, Hokies fifth, Georgia Tech, and then Duke. So almost what my colleagues picked as well. So no surprise at all. I think Carolina is the best team in the league. I think Miami can win the division. I don't think anybody else can. I think it's one of those two. Carolina gets Miami at home. We don't know how healthy Deana King is. It'll be interesting to see how he looks in the opener against Alabama. They better pray they keep him healthy because the Tide will be coming after him. So I think it makes a lot of sense that the Tar Heels are the team to beat. 21 of 22 starters from the Orange Bowl back. And about, 18 overall starters back, 17, something like that. So there's plenty to like about North Carolina, and I think a lot of other people who cover the ACC see it that way as well.
What about you, Deana, with you obviously cover recruiting as hard as you do, as well as Carolina's recruiting. AJ mentioned all the returning guys coming back to the team from last year. Any surprises on your end that Carolina's picked to finish first?
No, like AJ, I did as well pick UNC to win the Coastal. I did pick Miami second. I kind of went with Virginia Tech third, Virginia fourth. I know AJ likes Pitt. He likes their quarterback there. Thinks he's going to.
I like Kenny Pickett, yes.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, Pickett's going to be a really good pro player one day. And then Georgia Tech and Duke. It would be hard not to pick UNC, in my opinion, when you got Sam Howell, who, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the country, a Heisman Trophy candidate, just Mr. Fourth Quarter, as Tar Heel fans know. So, and that team that played Texas A&M, 21 of 22 kids back. So a lot of excitement in Chapel Hill this year. I'm looking forward to seeing what the defense can do, if they could step it up a notch, because I do still think the offense is going to have to be really on their A game. But I do have UNC winning the Coastal.
Yeah, I agree with what both of you guys have said. I think offensively, Carolina's about as good as it gets. Obviously, lost a lot of yards last year, and this isn't a preview for what's to come up or anything like that. But I think me and AJ have talked about it a lot on a couple podcasts we've done. That defense, particularly the defensive line, I think it's still got a little bit of question marks about it. Definitely talented, but there's just some young guys that, you know, are going to have to step up and play prominent roles that, you know, maybe haven't done it yet so far. So while I think it's a talented group on defense, I think there is still a little bit of question marks on that end. But obviously, Clemson,
I think there's a lot of question marks.
Go ahead. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks. Yeah.
I mean, they weren't stalwarts defensively last year, and they did lose Chaz. Okay, so I think they're really good in the second. I think it's corner they're going to be really strong. I think the coverage ability of the guys at corner are going to allow Jay Bateman to do more stuff. But they've got to get a conventional pass rush up front. Mm-hmm. If they don't get a conventional pass rush up front, and if those young guys haven't really developed, if Miles Murphy hasn't taken a couple of giant steps forward, if Tamari Fox is still hamstrung by the injury that kept him out in the spring, if they're searching, if they don't feel comfortable rotating a lot of guys up front, if Tez Evans is still behind like he was a year ago, and that was understandable his first year as a true freshman and didn't have a lot of time at Carolina because of the COVID stuff. Mm-hmm. If they're having some issues up front, I think that that's how they won't win the division. Mm-hmm. That's how they go up to Blacksburg in the opener and get surprised, which I think is very possible. I don't care what Virginia Tech has been the last couple of years. Opening on a Friday night in Blacksburg is not a great way to start the season if your whole objective is to run the table. However, I think this team has the ability to go up there and handle business. I think it's a great opener for them because it will test them on so many levels. Last year, you know, they went down to Tallahassee and they weren't 100% ready. Mm-hmm. I think physically this team has the ability to win each of its 12 games, but do they have the fortitude to run through it and win, especially going to a place like Blacksburg? That's the kind of place I can see them, you know, having a snag, and it's right out of the gate. So I think we learn a lot right away. We'll learn a lot about that front line right away, and then they got Georgia State and then UVA coming in. We'll learn a little bit more from the UVA game as well. So I think that until we see the defense do it, as much as we all see in practice and we know the layers of this team defensively, you can't say they're going to do it until you see them show more signs that they are. But I still have picked to win the division, guys. Yeah. Because I think offensively, like you, Jacob, I think they're going to be fine. Yeah. There are names of guys that people don't know right now that they'll know by the middle of October. But whether or not this team is a go 8-0 and run away with the Coastal and contend for something nationally relevant by late November, all that depends on the defensive line. Because if they're really good, the rest of the defense, I think, will be really good too.
I agree. I mean, it's like any other side of the ball. You know, you're as good as the guys in the trenches, offense or defense. You got to have guys up front that can get it done. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about real quickly the other side of the division. Clemson picked to win the division, the ACC overall. Still not really unexpected. Also finished to pick first in the Atlantic. You know, based on this, that's the two teams. You know, if you believe the ACC preseason media poll, if it ends up finishing like this at the top, you'd have Clemson and North Carolina playing in the ACC championship game. That's something we saw in 2015. And obviously know how that game went down. I think everybody kind of agrees that Carolina and Clemson are the top two teams in the league. And I think Miami's up there maybe at third. And there's a little bit of a drop off kind of after first and second. I think a little bit.
I think NC State can be pretty good.
I think State can be good too. I think
Boston College can be pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. I think
I'm sorry to jump in, but
no, you're good. Go ahead.
I think there are 6 teams in this league that could be ranked going into November. Mm-hmm. Carolina, Clemson, Miami, absolutely. I think BC, Pitt, and NC State could all be ranked as well. The second half of Carolina's schedule starts out with Miami at home. They will be ranked when they come to Chapel Hill. Mm-hmm. They go to Notre Dame. Then they go to Pitt a couple, 11 days later, 12 days later on a Thursday night. I think Pitt can be ranked when they go up there, and they close the day after Thanksgiving at NC State. 4 of the 6 teams on the back half of the schedule could be ranked. So if Carolina's playing for something significant nationally, they're going to have opportunities to wow some people. And at the same time, so will Sam. 3 of those games on the road. Sam's got to go to South Bend, Pittsburgh, or Raleigh in a 4-week span. Not even a 4-week, about a 4-week span. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have opportunities to play on a pretty big stage and to do something against respectable teams. And the Tar Heels will as well. So I kind of think that's pretty fun. And I think that's kind of neat because whatever issues that they do have to get worked out, I think they'll have enough time to get those worked out before they hit the really tough part of the schedule.
Yeah, definitely.
You want the ACC to be strong. You want if Sam's going to make a push for the Heisman, he has to do it against quality teams, and quality teams are teams that are ranked and doing it on the road. Virginia Tech is going to be – there's going to be a lot of eyes on that game. I can just imagine the atmosphere, Lane Stadium. We know how it is anyway back in a few years ago, but can you imagine?
This would be my laptop at Lane Stadium when they're Enter Sandman. That's the way my seat is in the press box.
Literally.
I thought my computer was shaking.
Deana, we got to get you up there for a game, man.
Yeah,
but with everybody being kind of cooped up with the COVID and everything, everybody's just going to be really excited for this season to start off, and it's a big game for UNC, and they need to be ready.
I think getting off to a big start up there is huge, Deana. You and I have talked about this a lot, and it's big for Sam to have a really big game because a lot of folks are going to watch that game because Virginia Tech still has some cachet nationally.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the logo on the helmet, and I hope they wear normal uniforms. I hope they don't wear psycho uniforms at night. Their normal uniforms do them justice. Please wear normal uniforms. I'm talking about the Hokies. That VT logo, Lane Stadium at night, the place is going to be bouncing. You know, Fuente's going to have them ready. This is a do or die season for him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they don't play well and they get off to a terrible start, he could be the first guy axed in college football this year. So this is a really, really important game for that program and for him. Carolina has an opportunity, especially Sam, go up there. If he goes crazy in that environment on national TV, that would be a great way for him to launch his campaign. But the Tar Heels could go up there and they could check off the big road game right out of the way. Boom. You only got 3 more in league to play plus day, but you get that one out of the way. Then they're at home for a while, other than a trip to Georgia Tech before they really hit the road a lot late. Get that thing out of the way. It gives the staff a wonderful opportunity to have so much stuff on film, fix a lot of things early, and get them into a groove by the time they hit October.
Yeah, if Carolina is to win the Coastal, I mean, like you said, we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, but they've got some tests they're going to have to go through. You mentioned Blacksburg, you mentioned Miami coming to Chapel Hill, Pittsburgh on a Thursday night, up in Notre Dame. Obviously, that's not an ACC game, but still, there's a lot of tests that Carolina's going to have to pass if they want to finish atop the Coastal Division. I got one more question for you guys, and this is kind of a hypothetical, but let's have some fun with it. AJ, I'll start with you, and Deana, you can add on after that. Let's say Carolina does finish top the Coastal, ends up playing for the ACC championship, whatever happens. So not talking about that. Is Carolina finishing atop the Coastal enough if Sam Howell has the type of year we expect for a guy like Sam Howell to be a finalist for the Heisman, or does he have to do more than that? Does Carolina have to compete, win an ACC championship? How do you think that plays out?
Well, we're going to do our Sam Heisman podcast at some point in August, but I read a piece this morning, put it up last night before I went to bed about Sam and the Heisman. If you look at the last 8 Heisman winners, 4 of them played on national champions. Remember back in the day when Heisman winners didn't play on national champions, Deana? Remember that? Back in the days when Barry Sanders, those guys won it. Of the last 8, 4 played on national champions. 1, Mariota played a team that lost the national title game, okay? And then 2 others played on teams that got to the CFP. The only one who didn't get to the CFP was Lamar Jackson from Louisville, and they were ranked in the top 10 for 10 weeks that year. Yeah. And they were number 3 on November 11th. And they finished 9-3 in the regular season, lost their bowl game, finished 9-4. And he put up sick numbers. Yeah. And he was electrifying. Sam's not electrifying. Sam's smooth. Sam's awesome. He's a damn good college quarterback, but he may not have the wow highlights that Lamar Jackson had, that Michael Beck had, guys like that. So his wow highlights is like what he did with Josh Downs in the Orange Bowl last year. He moved, pointed, threw over the top of the defense. Downs got it and did the Aggie down thing, the Gig 'em down thing, which I guess he's not allowed to do now in college football. So that they have to. I do think they have to win 10 games. They have to win the Coastal. They have to 11-1 probably, 10-2 at the worst, with him putting up sickening numbers. But if he has to throw for 4,500 yards, I'm not sure they're going to be as good as they can be, or as they should be, because that means the running game isn't as good as some people think it can be or needs to be. And because of that, they might not win. They might lose another game during this process that right now people aren't expecting them to.
What about you, Deana? What do you think about that? You think Sam, Coastal, that's enough for Sam, or Carolina got to go on and win or compete for, a
I
national
personally
championship?
think win the Coastal and have a great showing against Clemson. I don't know if beating Clemson, but to put up big numbers against a program like Clemson would get eyes, in my opinion, even if they were not to win that game. So just, you can't have any letdowns, no basically bad games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he 10 wins, and getting to the
stress Clemson in that championship game. By the way, my picks in the Atlantic, you didn't ask for them, but I'm gonna give them to you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I did pick Clemson to win. Shocker.
Shocker, right?
I have BC second. I battled back and forth about BC and NC State, but I really love Jerkovic, Zay Flowers, and I like Halfway. I think Halfway's going to do such a good job there. He's going to be gone in a few years for somewhere else. And then I think those are three good teams. I think BC and State are pretty good teams. After that, I battled, I debated. But I think you're looking at Louisville or Florida State. Probably, I think Norvell has a chance to build that thing back up a little bit. They might take a big step forward this year. Florida State probably edge out Louisville, then Wake, and I have Syracuse at the bottom. Dino Babers probably should have been fired last year.
Surprised he wasn't.
Syracuse needs to find the right guy for that job. I do think you could win at Syracuse. It wasn't that long ago when Syracuse was going to Fiesta Bowls and stuff. So, but they've got to get that thing figured out. But they're going to finish last in the Atlantic. What did you guys have?
Yeah, I know I had Clemson top. I think I actually had State finish in second. We talked a little bit about, I think State's got a good shot at being pretty good this year. Then after that, I had BC, FSU. I believe I had Louisville ahead of Wake Forest, and then Wake Forest and Syracuse to wrap it off. So not too much different than yours and how the Atlantic ended up shaking out. But yeah, Clemson and State top two for me. And I think Boston College, like you said, could definitely sneak into that top two as well, because I do like what they've got going on over there. And I think Jerkovic and Zay Flowers offensively is pretty dangerous. So I think Boston College got a chance to be pretty dang good too. What about you, Deana?
I picked Clemson. Also was really high on NC State, Boston College, and Florida State. I agree. I think Coach Norvell might have he's going to possibly turn the ship around there in Tallahassee. Be interesting. They come to Chapel Hill this year, so it'll be interesting. So
they can't afford any early flubs.
Yeah,
they can't get. They right now. I wouldn't say the vibe down there is positive, but they can't afford for super negativity to overflow.
No,
because they're not going to have a lot of patience. They've already shown that. So it'll be. I think the ACC. We're not going to have a expansion podcast again, and we're going to do a CFP podcast in August. We got a lot of stuff coming in August, but the ACC needs Florida State to get back. They need Miami to be really good. They need Virginia Tech to be above competent. And they need a program like Carolina that has a national brand to be really good. If you can get Florida State, Clemson, Miami, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina as consistent top 20 programs, I think a lot of things change in the ACC. So I do think if Carolina fans that are watching this, you should want these other teams to be good, because the better they are, and Carolina beats them, the better it helps Carolina football. The better it helps Sam Howell's quest for the Heisman. The better it helps everything that you care about in college football. You don't otherwise just join the Atlantic Sun and roll through that stuff, and it's not going to do you much good. So I think the ACC has a chance to have a good year. They have a chance to have 6 teams that are ranked. Maybe Florida State's a surprise. Virginia could be a surprise. I think Wake Forest. Clawson's a really, really good coach. A really good coach who doesn't get a lot of credit. There's a chance the ACC moves this whole thing in the right direction this year on the field. Well, the other stuff that's going on, we'll talk about it in another podcast. But I think on the field, there's a chance the ACC has one of its better seasons than it's had in the last several years.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's been Clemson top heavy for a long time. It's good to see other programs, especially in that coastal division, that's been down for a few years, especially kind of going up there like a UNC and competing. Yeah,
most important non-conference game for the ACC this year is Kansas and Duke, boys and girls.
God,
Devils
that's gonna be a
can't
shootout,
lose
man.
that one. Devils can't lose that one.
Yeah, there might be 50 people in the stands for that one. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a tough one right there. I'm surprised you even knew they played each other.
They should invoke the COVID rule while played for that game. Nobody allowed.
Forfeit.
An excuse to not have anybody there.
Forfeit, exactly. But yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap this one up, guys. Carolina finished atop the Coastal Division in the 2021 ACC Preseason Media Poll. A lot of expectations for the Tar Heels. I know the Tar Heels internally in the program have a lot of high expectations as well. So I don't think this will come as a surprise for anybody within the program or really a part of the media. Clemson and Carolina, the two teams that are expected to be duking it out for an ACC championship. We'll see how it unfolds, and obviously we'll have all the coverage from fall camp and from North Carolina's upcoming season here at TarHeelIllustrated.com. So make sure you guys keep it locked. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. She's been Deana King. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time we upload a video, and we upload a lot. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.